What's up guys, welcome to a new video by Reviews on Anything. My name is Peter and today we are driving the 2019 Seat Ibiza. Now this is an interesting car to review for me actually, because I own the previous version of this car, the previous model generation. So it is actually quite cool to see how they have upgraded this car. So let's start with the outside. I think they've done a pretty good job in making this car look not overly aggressive, but certainly, you know, very nice to look at. It is obviously based on the Volkswagen Polo, and it does look a bit like the Polo here and there from certain angles, but overall I think it's a good job in giving this car a bit of character that belongs to the Seat brand. In general, the Volkswagen itself is the sort of higher premium, more premium brand, Audi obviously being above that. Below the Volkswagen brand itself, you have Skoda as the more budget-friendly option, and then Seat here for this, let's say, younger audience with a slightly more sporty feel. Now, if that's true, we're going to find out, obviously. But overall, I think they've done a pretty good job in making this car look at least very appealing. And I can see that this is appealing to a, let's say, slightly younger audience. Now, the Seat Ibiza, I already said it, is based on the Volkswagen Polo, so it's not an enormous car by any stretch of the imagination, but it is certainly a car that fits a small family. I remember when I bought this car, the previous model, I had one kid on the way, and it was me and my wife. So with the three of us, it was a perfectly sized car. We got the station wagon version, so you get a bit more space in the boot. This is the normal hatchback version, and it served us really well as a family of three. So that is pretty much exactly what this car is aimed at. You can, you know, with a bit of stretch for the imagination, easily put 4 people in here and some luggage, no problem. But I'm sure you all agree that once you start piling in kids and all the stuff that kids need to take with them, especially babies and young kids, it gets too small quite quickly. But this is a great size car for maybe a second car, or like I said, a car for a family that is just starting out with a bigger vehicle. Now, before I tell you more about how this car drives, let's have a look around the car first and inside the car as well, so I can show you a bit on how I fit in and around the car. So in here in the Seat Ibiza, all is where you think it will be, which is nice, which is I think one of the strengths of the whole Volkswagen group in general. Everything is where you expect it to be. That is not super exciting, but it is very functional, so that's super sweet. Biggest thing in here is the infotainment system, nice and big screen, nice and clear to operate, so that's quite nice. Underneath the infotainment screen, you have the controls for the heater and everything. Super nice with knobs. Obviously in this category of car, touchscreens are very uncommon, if any. But this just works better. A button to heat the window, a button to change the fan direction, and a button knob to turn the temperature up and down. It's just easier, it's just functional, so you can operate it without looking. And obviously with touchscreens, when you're always moving your finger around while driving, it's not very convenient. Underneath the climate control, you have a little storage area with some USBs and an aux in. That sounds terrible, to be honest. I don't really understand why they didn't put a little rubber in there, especially when you put your phone in. Oh, that sounds terrible. And logistically speaking, it doesn't really work either, because, you know, I have a OnePlus 7 Pro, which is not a huge phone, but certainly not a small phone either. And as you can see, when you plug in here, there is no room for the charging cable. That means you're gonna have your phone in here like this, and every time you go around the corner, it's gonna fly out. So, I don't know, that just doesn't work. Gearbox down here, pretty standard stuff from the Volkswagen group. You can find this in pretty much all their models across the different brands. 5-speed, nothing going wrong here. You can turn the automatic start-stop off here, and even the park distance control. Old-fashioned handbrake, some cup holders, some storage here that you'll probably never use because everything there will rattle too. And a little storage cubby here under the armrest that also slides like that. So you can certainly get comfortable here. Like I said, everything is where you think it will be, so that's nice and convenient. Analog dials, nothing spectacular there either, with a little screen in the middle with some extra information for navigation, trip computing and all that stuff. But this is the main screen that you'll use for that anyway. Overall, you know, it's a nice cabin, nothing very spectacular here. The materials are, yeah, pretty scratchy plastic here and there, but then, you know, don't forget that this is a loaner car from the garage, like I said in the beginning. So, you know, that is to be taken into consideration. I'm sure you can get nicer trim levels for this car. What I don't like is the rearview mirror. That is a bit small, if you ask me, and especially the side mirrors are very small. You know, I get that it's all aerodynamically efficient and everything, and it makes for a nice aggressive styling in terms of the design language, but it's a bit small. Don't really like that, to be honest. Same goes for the small rear view mirror with a nice Tesla behind us. As you can see, I sit quite comfortably here. The seats are actually pretty good, not too firm, not too soft, pretty good combination. You can see the whole seat. I'm sure you can get it in all kinds of exciting finishes, but it offers a little bit of support on the sides and here around your back as well. And I actually fit in it. I'm not a small person, certainly not a huge person either, but you know, I can get quite comfortable here for reasonably long journeys. Got enough room in front of me in the pedal box, as you can see as well. The clutch pedal is a bit too much in front of me, to be honest, but you know, overall it is not too bad. And there is even room in the back for me to sit, as I'll show you now. So I'm now sitting behind myself, and I'm about 6'1", 183, about 200 pounds. So you can see I have, you know, decent amount of space sitting behind myself. Like I said, it is a manual though, as you can see, so you have to sit a bit more forward to press the clutch pedal. With an automatic you sit a bit further back, but you know, decent space for a full-size adult. The only slight compromise is here on the top. Like I said, 6'1", 183, so you know, any people taller will not fit. And you have the tendency to sort of hit the side of the roof here, because the car is obviously not that wide. When we move here to the middle seat, you know, it is a seat. Even as it's on headrest, as you can see there. So it is a seat, but I have shoe size 42, American size 9, and then you sort of hit the runners that the seat is on. So that is a bit annoying. There's a bit of a bump here on the floor, as you can see as well, so your feet don't fit in between. So you got to sit a bit wider than you maybe possibly could. And then there's not that much space left here on the sides. So, you know, it is possible to have 3 adults here in the back for sure, but only for a short journey. And as you can see here, I'm actually touching the roof with my head, so probably better for a child, but you know, 2 kids will fit here, no problem whatsoever. So how does this car drive, obviously, is the big question. Well, you know, Seat being the slightly more sporty brand of the Volkswagen group, you know, it drives, I suppose, slightly more sporty, but I think in this category you're not really looking for sportiness that much, to be honest. I'm sure if you go down into the tech specs fully, you know, some damper is a bit stiffer, or some roll option is a bit more advanced or whatever. But in day-to-day use, it's just, you know, a semi-small, comfy car to drive. I wouldn't say, you know, it's the most friendly car over bumps or anything, but it's no problem in and around town, and also no problem on the highway, as we are doing now. It is not an expensive brand, obviously, so you know, things like the materials used, the steering wheel, it doesn't feel like super premium or anything, but that is also not the point of this brand. If you want super premium, you have to look at one of the other Volkswagen Group products. And for what it is, I think it is doing a pretty good job. It drives well around town, like I said. Nothing crazy in terms of performance or horsepower or cornering, but in reality, in real life, you're not doing anything that requires high horsepower or high cornering capabilities. For just getting around, anything from the school run to groceries and everything in between, perfect car, just fine. With all the, you know, bells and whistles you might want to have. I'm sure you can spec this up to fantastic amounts of money if you want to. But even in its you know, semi-basic form like this one is, I think you get a pretty good bang for your buck. A car that's, you know, comfortable when you want it to be on longer journeys, and still, you know, small enough to get in and around town, no problem. And enough space, like I said, to house you and your small family probably without any problems. So as we come off the highway here, a few things to note when you are driving around. The plastics and the angles around your knees are quite sharp, to be honest, here on the side, here on the door. So on longer journeys, that is going to be annoying when you're driving on the cruise control and you're resting your legs against the sides of the car. It gets a bit uncomfortable. I think overall, the materials used in the car are very plasticky everywhere. So it's not, you know, the last word in interior material choices, I think. But that obviously is going to depend a lot on the specs that you pick for the car. And especially when you get down here, it is all very scratchy. So that is, overall the materials are not nice. The touch points are maybe a point of weakness here. It is, I'm sure it's very well thought through, but in this particular version, yeah, the touch points, I don't know, I'm not too sure about that. Now this car is not for me anymore. I have 2 kids now that are 6 and 3, so I need a bigger car with more space for them. And we also do quite a lot of long distances, so you know, we just need a bigger car, a more comfortable car for longer distances, a diesel engine as well actually. So this is not the car for me anymore, but I think the point that I made earlier, that this is a car for people that are just getting started with their family, I think this is a great car for that. For, you know, you and your partner and 1 kid, this is excellent. And also for a second car, you know, if you get the hatchback version, it's nice and compact in and around town, but you can still visit your family with it in another city if it's not too far away. And I think this is a great all-rounder in general for a car that, you know, does everything you want it to do without any real surprises. If that's the kind of car for you, then, you know, this is something certainly worth to consider. I made it back home. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more review videos, then obviously a subscription to the channel is very much appreciated. I'm going to take it back to the garage and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers!